What would you do if your dinner could kill you in one hit? No supermarket, no delivery app, no butcher shop on the corner. Just you. A sharpened stick and an animal 10 times your size staring you down. This is the reality ancient humans lived in every single day. And the weapons they used to survive that reality are so clever, so surprising, and honestly so terrifying that once you hear them, you'll never look at a simple stick or rock the same way again. Stay till the end, because the last part of this story will completely change how you think about ancient humans. So let's start with the obvious question. What did ancient humans actually hunt with? You're probably picturing a caveman holding a wooden club, right? Maybe smashing it down on some poor animal's head. That image is everywhere in cartoons and movies. But the real story is way more interesting and way more advanced than that. Let's rewind to the very beginning. Before spears, before bows, before anything sharp at all. In the earliest days, our ancestors weren't really hunters. They were scavengers. Imagine walking across an open plain and spotting vultures circling in the sky. That's not a bad omen. That's a dinner bell. It means a lion or another predator just made a kill nearby, and there might be leftovers. Now picture the danger in that. You're not hunting a helpless animal. You're sneaking up to steal food from something that could rip you apart in seconds. Early humans had to time it perfectly, moving in fast, grabbing whatever meat and bones they could, and getting out before the real predators came back for round 2. But here's the twist. Even this risky scavenging gave our ancestors an advantage nobody expects. The animal bones left behind weren't just food, they were tools waiting to happen. Early humans figured out how to crack bones open using rocks. And inside, they found something incredible. Bone marrow, packed with fat and calories. In a world where food was never guaranteed, that discovery alone could mean the difference between survival and starvation. So already, ancient humans were thinking one step ahead, turning leftover bones from a lion's kill into pure survival fuel. But scavenging was risky, and it wasn't reliable. Sooner or later, humans needed to become hunters themselves, not just scavengers waiting for scraps. And that's when the first real hunting weapon shows up. The simplest, most underestimated tool in human history, the sharpened stick. Now stop and picture this. No metal, no factory, just a tree branch. Early humans learned to strip a branch down, sharpen the tip using a rock or their teeth, and sometimes even harden the point by holding it over fire. That's it. That was the very first spear. It sounds almost too simple to matter, right? But think about what this actually meant. For the first time, a human could kill from a distance greater than arm's length. No more wrestling an animal with bare hands. No more relying only on leftover scraps. A sharpened stick meant you could strike first, and strike from just far enough away to maybe survive doing it. But even with a spear, hunting a large dangerous animal alone was basically suicide. So ancient humans did something that changed the entire game. They started hunting in groups. Imagine this. A herd of animals grazing peacefully on an open plain. Hidden nearby, a group of humans, each one holding a sharpened spear, watching, waiting, communicating with quiet signals. This wasn't chaos. This was strategy. Groups would work together to surround an animal, cutting off its escape routes, forcing it toward the other hunters. Here's the part that blows people's minds. Ancient humans weren't just physically strong, they were incredibly smart tacticians. They studied animal behavior. They knew which direction prey would run when startled. They used the landscape itself, hills, rivers, narrow paths, to their advantage. Hunting wasn't about who was strongest. It was about who could outthink the animal. And speaking of outthinking prey, here's where things get even wilder. Ancient humans developed one of the smartest survival tricks in history, the pursuit hunt, also known as endurance hunting. Think about this comparison. A cheetah can outrun a human easily in a short sprint. No contest. But a cheetah overheats in minutes and has to stop. Humans, on the other hand, can sweat efficiently and keep moving for hours. So instead of trying to out-sprint an animal, ancient hunters would simply chase it, slowly, steadily, relentlessly, for hours. Sometimes even through the hottest part of the day, when the animal's body was struggling the most to stay cool. Picture the scene. A group of humans jogging steadily across grassland, never sprinting, never stopping, just tracking footprints, watching the animal's exhaustion build with every passing hour. Eventually, the animal would simply collapse from heat exhaustion, and the hunters, patient and relentless, would finally close in. This wasn't brute force. This was psychological warfare against an animal's own body. And it worked because of something you probably never think about: human sweat glands. We are one of the best long-distance runners on the planet, specifically because early humans evolved this exact hunting strategy. But spears and endurance running were only the beginning. As time went on, ancient humans got even more creative with their weapons. Enter the spear thrower, sometimes called an atlatl. Imagine trying to throw a spear as far as you possibly can, using just your arm. Now imagine a simple tool, basically a stick with a hook on the end, that could launch that same spear twice as far, and with way more force. This wasn't magic. It was basic physics, discovered by trial and error thousands of years before anyone had a word for physics. Think about what this meant for hunting. Suddenly, humans could strike an animal from a much safer distance. Less risk, less chance of getting trampled, gored, or clawed. A hunter using a spear thrower could take down prey that would have been way too dangerous to approach with just a basic spear. And then, later in human history, came arguably the biggest hunting revolution of all: the bow and arrow. Imagine the moment someone first realized that a bent piece of wood with a tight string pulled back could launch a small, sharp projectile faster and farther than anything humans had ever thrown before. This wasn't just an upgrade. This completely transformed hunting. With a bow, a hunter didn't need brute strength. They needed precision. They could take down fast-moving animals like birds and rabbits, something nearly impossible with a heavy spear. They could hunt from hidden positions, staying safely out of sight. Hunting stopped being just a battle of strength and became a battle of skill, patience, and accuracy. Now here's a detail that surprises almost everyone. Ancient humans didn't just use one type of weapon their whole lives. Different environments demanded completely different hunting strategies. In freezing Arctic-like regions, hunters developed specialized harpoons for catching fish and seals through breaks in the ice. In dense forests, blowguns and small darts became useful for hunting quiet, careful prey without scaring off the entire area. Near rivers and lakes, humans built traps, nets, and fishing tools completely different from anything used on the open plains. Ancient humans weren't using one single caveman weapon. They were constantly adapting, engineering new tools based on the animals around them, the landscape they lived in, and the resources they had access to. This wasn't primitive guesswork. This was innovation, tested the hardest way possible. If your tool failed, you didn't eat. And here's something even crazier. Ancient hunters didn't rely only on weapons. They used the environment itself as a weapon. Picture a group of hunters spotting a herd near a cliff edge. Instead of attacking directly, they would spread out, moving slowly, making noise, using controlled shouting or waving branches to startle the herd in exactly the direction they wanted. The animals, panicking, would run straight toward the cliff, with nowhere left to go. One coordinated push, and an entire herd could go down at once, providing enough meat, fat, hide, and bone to support a group for weeks. Think about the sheer intelligence required for that. No weapons involved, just deep knowledge of animal psychology, teamwork, timing, and the courage to execute a plan with zero guarantee it would work. And once an animal was finally taken down, whether by spear, bow, endurance chase, or cliff drive, absolutely nothing was wasted. The meat fed the group. The fat became fuel for fire, or protection against the cold. The hide became clothing or shelter. The bones became tools, weapons, and needles. Even the sinew, the tough connective tissue, was used as natural string for bows, spears, and stitching. A single successful hunt wasn't just a meal. It was survival infrastructure, built entirely from one animal, wasted in exactly 0 ways. So let's zoom out and put this all together, because here's where it gets mind-blowing. Ancient humans started as desperate scavengers, sneaking bites of food left behind by lions. They evolved into spear-wielding hunters, striking from a distance for the first time in history. They became strategic pack hunters, using teamwork and terrain to outsmart animals far stronger than themselves. They discovered endurance hunting, turning their own sweat glands into a secret weapon no other predator on Earth could match. They engineered spear throwers and eventually bows, transforming raw strength into pure skill and precision. And they adapted constantly, building entirely different tools depending on where they lived and what they were hunting. None of that happened by accident. Every single one of those breakthroughs came from small groups of humans facing real danger, with real consequences if they got it wrong, and figuring it out anyway. And here's the part that should really stick with you. We often imagine ancient humans as simple, unsophisticated, maybe even a little dumb, smashing rocks together and hoping for the best. But everything you just heard proves the exact opposite. These were engineers, strategists, physicists, in practice if not in name. People who studied animal behavior with the precision of a modern scientist, and who innovated constantly, not because they had unlimited time and resources, but because their survival depended on it. Every hunting tool you just learned about, the spear thrower, the bow, the endurance chase, the coordinated ambush, all of it eventually led to modern technology, modern engineering, and honestly, the modern human mind. The same instinct that pushed ancient humans to sharpen that very first stick is the same instinct that still drives humans today to build, to problem solve, and to never settle for "this is good enough." So the next time you see a simple stick lying on the ground, remember this. To an ancient human, that wasn't just a stick. It was the beginning of survival, the beginning of strategy, and honestly, the beginning of everything that eventually made us who we are today. That relentless drive to figure things out, to adapt, to turn nothing into something isn't ancient history. It's still sitting inside every single one of us right now.